Here's something that sounds too good to be true. That pile of vegetable scraps you scrape into the trash every single night could be growing you free food right now. We're talking about the roots, stems, and stumps you've been throwing away your entire life. As it turns out, a huge number of the vegetables and herbs sitting in your fridge aren't really dead at all. Give them a little water, a sunny windowsill, and a few days of patience, and they'll spring right back to life and start producing all over again. No seeds, no garden, no green thumb required. It's one of the simplest ways to cut your grocery bill and stop wasting perfectly good food. So before you toss another scrap in the bin, let's take a look at 13 store-bought vegetables and herbs that regrow like magic. Number 1. Green onions. If you only ever try one thing on this list, make it this one. Because green onions are hands down the fastest and most rewarding scrap to regrow. You know those little white root ends you normally chop off and throw away? Don't. Instead, keep about an inch of the white bulb with the stringy roots attached and stand them upright in a small glass with just enough water to cover the roots. Pop the glass on a windowsill that gets some light, and that's it. Within a single day or two, you'll start to see fresh green shoots pushing up out of the center. Green onions are the speed demons of scrap gardening, and you'll often have something worth snipping in about a week. Just change the water every couple of days so it stays clean, and harvest the green tops with scissors whenever you need them for a stir-fry, soup, or salad. The best part is that they'll keep regrowing for several weeks, giving you round after round of free onions before they finally run out of steam. When that happens, you can move them into a pot of soil to keep the supply going even longer. Number 2. Romaine lettuce. That thick, pale stump at the bottom of a head of romaine is far more valuable than it looks. Instead of pitching it, cut your lettuce so you leave about 2 to 3 inches of the base intact, then set that stump in a shallow dish with around an inch of water. Place it somewhere bright, change the water daily to keep mold from forming, and watch what happens. In just a couple of days, tiny new leaves will begin emerging right from the center of the stump, and the roots will follow soon after. Now, let us be honest about expectations here, because this is where a lot of people get confused. You are not going to grow a brand new full head of lettuce. What you will get is a cluster of fresh, tender leaves a few inches long over the next couple of weeks. Eventually, the plant will bolt, meaning it sends up a stalk and turns bitter. But until then, you have enough fresh greens for a sandwich or a small salad, completely free. A helpful tip: harvest the outer leaves first, since new growth always comes from the middle. This same trick works on most lettuces with an intact base, not just romaine. Number 3. Celery. Celery might be the most satisfying regrow on this entire list because the transformation is so dramatic. The next time you buy a bunch, cut the stalks off about 2 inches up from the bottom and keep that root base. Set it cut side up in a shallow bowl with a little warm water and put it in a sunny spot. Within a few days, you'll notice the small inner stalks in the center starting to thicken and turn a vibrant yellow-green as new leaves unfurl. It genuinely looks like the dead stump is coming back to life from the inside out. After about a week to 10 days in water, once you can see little roots forming at the base, you can transplant the whole thing into a pot of soil where it will really take off. Keep in mind that celery is a bit slower than green onions, so you're looking at 3 weeks or more before there's much worth harvesting. But the leaves alone are fantastic for flavoring soups and stocks, and the inner stalks are tender and delicious. Just remember to keep that water fresh because celery bases can get slimy if you neglect them. Number 4. Bok choy. If you've ever cooked with bok choy, you've got the perfect candidate for regrowing sitting in your kitchen. This leafy Asian green behaves almost exactly like lettuce and celery, which makes it an easy win for beginners. Slice off the bottom of the head, leaving the base and a few inches of the stalk intact, and place that base in a shallow dish of water with a few inches of the leaves still attached. Set it by a window that gets plenty of sunlight and change the water every 1 to 2 days to keep it fresh. Before long, you'll see fresh green growth emerging from the center while roots develop down below. Once those roots are established, you can move your bok choy into a pot of soil to keep it producing. You probably won't regrow an enormous head all over again, but you'll get a steady little supply of fresh leaves and stalks, perfect for tossing into a stir-fry or a bowl of ramen. It's a fun one to watch because bok choy grows quickly and stays compact, making it ideal for a sunny kitchen windowsill. Number 5. Leeks. Leeks are the close cousins of green onions, and they regrow using the exact same simple method. So if you liked the first item on this list, you will love this one. When you are prepping leeks, save the white root end, leaving about an inch or two of the bottom with the roots attached. Stand those root ends upright in a glass or jar with enough water to cover the roots, but do not drown the whole thing. Place the glass on a bright windowsill, swap out the water every couple of days, and you will soon see fresh green shoots climbing up out of the center. Because leeks are larger than green onions, they tend to grow a bit more slowly, but the payoff is generous. You can snip the new green growth as it comes in, or once a good root system has developed, transplant your leeks into soil to grow them on into fuller stalks. They have that lovely, mild, sweet onion flavor that is wonderful in soups, quiches, and braises. And growing them this way means you are getting that flavor for free from a part of the plant you would normally throw out. Number 6. Fennel. Fennel has a delicate, sweet, licorice-like flavor that can get pricey at the store, which is exactly why it's worth regrowing at home. The technique is the same one that works so well for celery, since fennel grows from a similar bulb-shaped base. Cut off the bottom of the fennel bulb, keeping the root end and a few inches of the stalks intact, and set it in a shallow dish with about an inch of water. Here's a clever trick the pros use. Poke a few toothpicks into the sides of the base so you can rest it on the rim of your container. This keeps the very bottom of the bulb submerged for hydration, while preventing it from sitting flat against the dish, where it tends to rot. Put it in a sunny window and keep the water clean. Within a week or so, fresh, feathery green fronds will start sprouting from the center. Those fronds are wonderful chopped over salads, fish, and roasted vegetables, bringing that signature anise flavor to your cooking. Once roots develop, you can pot it up in soil to keep the harvest coming. Number 7. Lemongrass. Lemongrass is one of those ingredients that can be hard to find and oddly expensive when you do, which makes regrowing it feel especially rewarding. If you can get your hands on a few fresh stalks with the base still intact, you're in business. Trim the stalks down, keeping the bottom couple of inches, and stand them upright in a tall glass or jar with about half an inch of water in the bottom. Set the container in a warm, sunny spot, because lemongrass loves heat, and refresh the water every couple of days. After a week or two, you'll see brand new green shoots emerging from the center of the stalks, and tiny roots forming at the base. Once those roots are well developed, transplant your lemongrass into a pot of soil where it can grow into a full, bushy clump. Lemongrass is a vigorous grower in warm conditions, so a single grocery store purchase can eventually supply you with all the fresh stalks you need for Thai curries, soups, and teas, From there, you essentially have a renewable supply for as long as you keep it happy and warm. Number 8. Carrot tops. Now this one comes with an important honesty disclaimer because there's a common myth floating around the internet about it. When you regrow carrots from the tops, you are not going to grow a new carrot. That orange root you cut off is the part the plant stores energy in, and once it's gone, it's gone. So what's the point? The point is the leafy green tops, which are surprisingly useful and completely edible. To do it, slice off the top 1 inch of a carrot, the part with the stem end, and set it cut side down in a shallow dish of water, or rest it on a saucer of pebbles with a little water. Place it on a windowsill and keep the water topped up. Within days, feathery green shoots will sprout from the top. These carrot greens have a fresh, slightly bitter, parsley-like flavor and are excellent chopped into salads, blended into pesto, or used as a garnish. If you let them keep growing, the plant will eventually flower, which is actually beautiful. So while you won't be harvesting carrots, you'll be turning a scrap into a steady supply of nutritious greens for free. Number 9. Garlic. Have you ever pulled a clove of garlic out of the pantry only to find it has sprouted a little green shoot and tossed it because you assumed it had gone bad? Stop doing that, because that sprouting clove is nature handing you free food. You have 2 great options here. The quick and easy route is to stand a few sprouted cloves in a small dish with a tiny bit of water, just enough to touch the bottoms, and set them on a windowsill. Those green shoots will grow taller and you can snip them just like chives. Garlic greens have a mild, fresh garlic flavor that is wonderful sprinkled over eggs, potatoes, and pasta. The second option takes longer but gives a bigger reward. Plant individual cloves, pointy side up, in a pot of soil or directly in your garden. And over the course of a growing season, each clove can develop into a whole new bulb of garlic. Either way, you are getting real value out of a single clove you might otherwise have thrown straight in the trash, and there is something genuinely satisfying about growing your own garlic. Number 10. Ginger. Fresh ginger is one of the easiest things in the world to keep regrowing, and once you start, you may never buy it again. The knobby piece of ginger you buy at the store is technically a rhizome, which is an underground stem, and it is loaded with little growth buds called eyes, similar to a potato. Look for a plump piece that has some of those small nub-like buds starting to form. Plant a chunk of it just below the surface of a pot of soil, with the buds or eyes facing upward, and water it. Ginger likes warmth and indirect light, so keep it somewhere that does not get too cold or too harshly sunny. It is a patient plant and takes its time, but before long you will see green shoots rising up out of the soil. As the plant grows, the rhizome underground spreads and multiplies, so after several months you can dig up fresh ginger, break off what you need, and replant the rest to keep the cycle going indefinitely. A single store-bought piece can essentially become a permanent, renewable supply right on your countertop. Number 11. Basil. Basil is the gateway herb for anyone who wants to start propagating their own plants because it roots so easily it almost feels like cheating. The next time you buy a bunch of fresh basil or have a plant going to seed, snip off a healthy stem about 3 to 4 inches long, ideally cutting just below a leaf node, which is the little bump where leaves grow out. Strip the leaves off the bottom couple of inches of the stem. Place that bare stem end in a glass of water. Leave the upper leaves above the water line, and set it on a windowsill with bright, indirect light. Change the water every other day to keep it fresh and oxygenated. Within a week or two, you'll see little white roots forming underwater, and once they're an inch or two long, You can either keep the cutting in water or pot it up in soil. The multiplication here is magic. One store-bought bunch can be turned into several brand new plants. Since basil thrives on a sunny windowsill, you can keep fresh basil going right through the winter, long after the outdoor growing season has ended. Number 12. Mint. If basil is easy, mint is practically unstoppable, which is exactly why it works so beautifully as a regrow. Mint roots from cuttings with almost no effort, and it is famous among gardeners for spreading like wildfire once it gets going. Take a healthy sprig of store-bought mint about 3 to 4 inches long, pull off the lower leaves, and drop the bare stem into a glass of water. Set it on a windowsill out of harsh, direct sun, top off the water as needed, and just wait. Roots will appear surprisingly fast, and before you know it, your single sprig is ready to be planted in a pot of soil. Here is a piece of friendly advice though. Always grow mint in a container rather than directly in your garden bed, because if you set it loose in open soil, it will happily take over everything in its path. Kept in a pot, however, it is a dream, giving you an endless supply of fresh leaves for tea, cocktails, desserts, and garnishes. One little grocery sprig really can become a lifetime supply of mint. Number 13. Cilantro. We'll round out the list with cilantro, an herb that people either love or can't stand, but if you're in the love camp, regrowing it will save you a small fortune. Cilantro can be a little less reliable than basil or mint, so the trick is to start with the freshest bunch you can find, ideally one that still has some little roots attached at the bottom. Cut a healthy stem about 4 to 6 inches long and strip the leaves from the bottom 2 inches. Place the stem end in a glass with a couple of inches of water, set it somewhere with bright, indirect light, and change the water every other day. After about a week or two, you should start to see roots developing. Once those roots are a few inches long, transplant your cilantro into a pot of well-draining soil and keep it moist but not soggy. Because cilantro prefers cooler temperatures and tends to bolt quickly in heat, growing it indoors on a windowsill is actually a smart move. With a little luck and the right conditions, you'll have a steady supply of fresh cilantro for tacos, salsas, and curries, all started from a bunch you'd normally use up and forget about. So the next time you are standing over the trash can with a handful of roots, stems, and stumps, take a second look, because you might be holding your next harvest. From green onions that bounce back in days to ginger that multiplies for months, regrowing your groceries is one of the easiest ways to save money, cut down on waste, and have a little fun on your windowsill. Pick 1 or 2 of these to try this week, and see for yourself just how much free food you have been throwing away. Thanks for watching. If this video gave you some useful ideas, smash that like button and share it with a friend who loves a good kitchen hack. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss one.